Welcome to the wonderful world of Lunn Learning, a new and exciting way for children to learn about nature, wildlife and conservation through stories. The first is an adventure story called The Squirrel. Chapter 2: The Invasion. The days got shorter, the nights got longer, and soon it was winter in the forest. All the squirrels were spending most of the time sleeping in their dens in the trunks of trees. They only ventured outside to quickly dig up some food from their stores, then hurry back to snuggle up and get warm again. "Ah, this is the life," said Red one morning as he woke from a long slumber in his cosy bed of moss and leaves. He loved all the seasons. Spring was when he sprung into action and became a daddy. Summer was when he spent lots of time having fun with his friends. Autumn was when he fattened up and stored food for the winter time. Winter was when he slept and ate and ate and slept and slept and ate, and so on. He stretched his front legs and yawned a huge yawn. He blinked big blinks and poked his head outside. He looked up through the pine trees and saw a blanket of grey cloud covering the sky. He sniffed quick sniffs and thought, "I can smell snow. I'd better get a wiggle on." And with that, he had a good shake to fluff up his fur, and then he was off. He climbed down the tree, then on the ground he scanned around to get his bearings. He twiddled the long red hairs at the ends of his long red ears, and with a big smile he bounced along the forest floor to the stash of food he'd stored nearby. When he got there, the leaves were gone. Must have been blown away, he thought. He dug and dug, deeper and deeper, but he didn't find anything. "That's strange," he thought. "I'm sure I had a store here." He twiddled his ear hairs and had a good think. Yes, he had stashed some food here, but where had it gone? "Somebody must have seen me burying it. Must be more careful next year," he thought, and off he went to get to his next store. When he got there, the leaves were gone and the earth had been scratched away. There was only an empty hole where his food had been. "Oh, no, not again." Red was a little bit upset. He thought that the other squirrels must have stolen his food. He shrugged his shoulders and thought, "Fair's fair," because sometimes he took food that wasn't his if he found it when he was scratching for his own. Off he bounced to the next store he'd made. Empty. And the next one. All gone. His tummy rumbled and he was feeling hungry. "Don't panic, Red," he said to himself. "Think." He twiddled the long red hairs at the ends of his long red ears, and then he remembered his encounter with her ladyship when he'd been stashing some pine cones. That store was deeper in the forest, but he remembered exactly where it was. He climbed up a nearby trunk and jumped from tree to tree until he got to the one she'd been watching him from. Then he scurried down. The ground was covered with scales from chewed pine cones, and the earth around his store was all dug away. "No!" he screamed. "No!" Red started to panic, and he scratched and scratched at the ground. All he found was one half-chewed pine cone. All the rest had gone. He couldn't believe what he saw. His eyes filled with tears and he began to shiver. He was cold, cold and hungry and scared. He wanted to get home as fast as he could. He grabbed the half-chewed pine cone and ran up the tree. He jumped from branch to branch, holding on to the little bit of pine cone as tight as he could. He didn't stop. He got to his den and ran inside. He was safe. As he nibbled and ate as quickly as he could, he started to think about the other squirrels stealing all his food. Why would they do that? I thought they all liked me, he thought. Then he felt something wet drip onto his front paws. One drop, then another. It wasn't rain leaking into his den. Red was starting to cry. The days got even shorter and the nights got even longer. Snow fell and the forest was in the grip of a deep, cold winter. Every day, Red searched and searched for his stored food. Every day, he found only a few morsels and had to return to his den, cold and hungry. Some days he saw one or two of his friends, but he kept away from them because he was very upset that they could be so mean to him and steal all his food. One day, when Red was desperately searching for food but hiding from the others, he watched them and noticed that their fur wasn't as red as it used to be. It was like his, shorter and dull and falling out in places. They didn't move around like they used to. They were like him, weak and unsteady on their feet. As he hid and watched, he noticed that some other strange squirrels were scurrying around. They were bigger and fatter, and their hair was grey. The more he looked, the more of them he saw. The more he saw, the more he thought. The more he thought, the more he realised it was these squirrels that were stealing all the food. Every red squirrel was thin and starving, but these grey ones were fat and healthy. Everywhere was swarming with big, fat, grey squirrels. The forest had been invaded. Red hadn't eaten for days. He was very weak and very cold. He didn't have enough strength to climb up his tree to get back into his den. There was a log close by, so he crawled onto it and lay down to have a rest. He lay there and fell fast asleep. Written and narrated by Fiona Lunn. Recorded by Tony O'Malley. Produced by Guy Benoist. Illustrations by Sarah Westaway.